Hello once again everybody at Vintage Iron Range Dirt Track Racing. I am at the home of Grand Rapids Chub Christy. Chub, it's nice to meet you. Glad to be here. Thank you for taking time out to do this interview with us. Chub, how did you get interested in dirt track racing?
Well, I was always interested in the stock car races when I was younger. But I went to school with Harry Johnson in high school, and after we graduated, he went to Dunwoody to be an auto mechanic. And when he finished with Dunwoody, he came back and decided he was going to build a stock car. So he cut up a 50, I think it was a 50, well, it was an Oldsmobile, anyhow, 49 Olds, I think it was. And I said, well, if he's going to race, that's what I'd like to do. So I got a hold of a 50 Ford, put roll bars in it, and
Made race car.
tried to race that.
So your competitive nature with the Horse Thief got you into racing.
Right, yeah.
Which I still think Horse Thief is probably the best racing nickname I've ever heard.
It is.
You were a young kid watching races though, right?
Yes.
How did you get involved or into being interested in racing as a child?
Well, a group of us young kids used to make soapboxes out of whatever we could and run them down the hill and be competitive and just have some fun with that.
So the race car thing appealed to you.
Right. And as we got older, we got more interested in the cars.
Okay. When you were young in the grandstands watching races, were there any racers out there that you looked up to?
Yeah, it's back in the day, Reuben Olson was doing real well. And of course, Harry Minzer was running, and even Roger Carlson was running. I got to watch him. But Bob Percy, Harold Karen, those are the guys that I was really impressed with.
Okay. Okay. When did you actually start racing then?
1960.
Okay. And what was your first car?
54.
What class did you race that in?
It was a hobby stock class.
So was that a 6-cylinder or a V8?
No, it was a V8.
That was a V8. Okay. What all different types of cars did you race throughout your career?
Most of my racing was in open wheel cars, 32 Fords, coupes and sedans, and I did a little bit of 6-cylinder racing, hobby stock racing.
Mm-hmm.
I drove some cars for other guys. We had the 57 Chevy we did pretty well with it. We were running against the late models to Thunder Bay, and we did good with that car.
Okay. And then the last half of your career or so, you were pretty much strictly open wheel racing, like the sportsmen's or modifieds they called them back then.
Yeah, towards the end we were in modifieds and super modifieds.
Okay. Which by today's standards are almost considered sprint cars. They look like a modern day sprint car relatively.
Right. We had sprint car bodies and and quick change rims and that sort of thing.
How many years did you race for then?
20 years.
Okay. And so 60s?
60s
and
to late 70s.
Okay. And when you race, what was your number?
My number was 7.
What made you pick that number?
That was the 7th car I ever owned, that 50 Ford. I was just out of high school, and it was the 7th car I owned.
So that's why you picked 7.
Right.
Now, I seen that picture of like that, was it a 55 or 57 Chevy, that red, white, and blue?
57.
Okay, but that was number 1.
Yeah, and I wonder about that. Somebody else asked me that, why it was number 1, and the only thing I can think of is that there was another number 7 running in that class.
Oh, so there might have been a conflict of the numbers. Okay. What all tracks did you race at?
We raced Grand Rapids, Hibbing, Proctor, and then we raced some in Bemidji and Superior. We raced in Detroit Lakes. We ran Grand Forks, was modified, and Thunder Bay was a Queen's race.
So you put some miles on racing. You drove around quite a bit to chase different races.
Yeah, we did a little traveling.
Were you pretty hardcore 2-3 nights a week, or did you just race more leisurely for fun? Or
Well, we were pretty competitive because we were running in the points standings, so We raced for the fun of it, but there was some competition there.
So, like, you ran a very steady schedule then,
Yes.
3 nights a week.
Yeah.
So, it was pretty hardcore racing, but you made sure you had fun at it.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Did you have a favorite track of all those tracks you raced at? Is there one in particular that you just like to go to?
Well, I like Grand Rapids because I spent more time there, but Hibbing and Proctor were okay. I liked them.
Okay. While you raced, who were some of the biggest competitors of yours that you raced against?
Well, Harry, of course, and then Billy Nelson, and all the guys from Hibbing, Carl Fred, and Carl Lindquist, and Roger Carlson, and the Duluth guys. You know, they'd been at it a long time, so we had plenty of competition.
Okay. And what kind of racer did you consider yourself to be? Like, there's some racers that are kind of conservative and keep their car in one shape, and there's some people who will win at all cost. Like, whereabouts do you feel you were as a racer?
Well, we didn't go out of our way to wreck the car, that's for sure. But, we drove fairly conservatively. I raced it hard, but I raced it clean.
Mm-hmm. So you would push your car to the limits, but not go over the limits.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Or try your best, anyways.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, this concludes part 1 of our interview with Chub Christy from Grand Rapids. Please stay tuned to part 2.